Hello, I'm Dave Marshall, and I'd like to show you how to take a vector force and calculate out the x and y component of it. If you look at the vector force here on the board, you notice that the vector starts from the 0, 0 coordinate. Notice over to the right is positive x, positive y above, negative x to the left, and down negative y. Vectors show magnitude, direction, and sense. This vector's magnitude is 50 pounds. Its direction is 25 degrees off the positive x, and its sense is upward and to the right. Now we have to take this vector and break it into its x and y components. Notice in the diagram on the board, I have drawn a line down in the y direction that intersects the x direction, making a 90-degree or a right triangle out of the vector. Now that the vector has been broken down into a right triangle, we can use trigonometric functions, SOHCAHTOA, sine, cosine, or tangent. If we look at the diagram on the board, you notice we have two unknowns, the force of vector A in the y direction and the force of vector A in the x direction. We can now choose which one of those trigonometric functions would most suit the x or the y axis. At this point, let's solve for the force of A in the y direction. Notice where it is on our right triangle. I have a 25-degree angle. I know my hypotenuse, which is 50 pounds. My unknown is the force of A in the y direction. To do that, I'm going to use sine. Sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. I am going to take the sine of my angle, which is 25 degrees. That is going to equal my unknown, my force of my vector, which is A in the y direction, divided by 50 pounds. I rearrange my formula to get my unknown, my force at A in the y, on one side of the equation, and then I multiply my 50 pounds times my sine of 25 degrees. My answer comes out to be 21.13 pounds. So the force of A in the y direction is 21.13 pounds. Notice I have placed a red arrow here. That indicates that the force is in an upward direction or in the y direction positively. If I come back over to my diagram here on the board, my only unknown now is my force of vector A in the x direction. So I'm going to solve for that. If I look, I have my angle 25. I know my hypotenuse. I don't know my adjacent, which is force of A in the x direction. So I'm going to use cosine. So I'm going to take cosine of my angle, which equals adjacent over hypotenuse. At this point, I'm going to substitute in my knowns. Cosine of 25 degrees, FAX, which is my unknown, and 50 pounds. That's my vector force. If I rearrange my formula to get my unknown F of A in the x direction on one side of the equation, I will then take 50 pounds, multiply it by the cosine of 25. My answer will be F of A in the x direction equals 45.31 pounds. And again, I've placed an arrow here indicating that it is going to the right and it is a positive force in the x direction. Hopefully this short mini video lesson helps you with your students in calculating out the x and y component of a vector force.